Yes. What's happening, everybody? It's your Uncle Weezy here on a Wednesday evening. I've been sick all week. My voice is trashed. My lungs are in trouble. It's been a long week. I got sick like Thursday morning of last week, and it just is like hanging on to me. It won't go away. So this has been like a slow week for me. I did Stat Diggers and I did the DFS show, both of my Pub Sports Radio show this week. But as far as content here on the channel, I wasn't able to put together a full card breakdown for you guys this week. It's usually like a 2 or 3 day process of me writing up those 24 pages of notes on 12 different fights and watching all the tape, going through all the stats, looking at all the props, all that stuff. So I just didn't have time this week to do all that, but I had been watching tape on all the fighters. So I just didn't write up everything like I do normally when I do just the tip and give you like at least a 2-hour show where we're spending about 10 minutes on each fight. So yeah, I just wanted to show up today and answer some questions for you guys because I did watch tape on all these fighters, and as always, I've always got the stats ready for you guys here. And I just, I didn't want to put out no content this week, and I'll put together a greasy 4-leg parlay like I do every week, but I don't have it in me this week to do the full card breakdown for you guys and do 2.5 hours straight of, well, it'd be only about 2 hours this week, but either way, it's a lot of work to do, and I'm not healthy enough to do it this week. So I'm going to start early on next week's content and continue doing some programming work behind the scenes, which I was getting done this week. Got my takedown template almost done, and hopefully the fantasy score template will be done very soon, and that'll be the new content for next year on the Patreon, in terms of giving you guys some new markets to start smashing in terms of using all the data that I have available to not just look at, time props and money lines, but also some of the less accessed markets, which are probably providing the best opportunities for us right now. As all these markets sharpen up over time, it'll be nice to be able to give you guys some content based on these new products that I'm creating, and you'll get a sneak peek of some of that today. If you guys have any significant strike questions on prize picks, I got the template ready for you guys. So yeah, let's get right into it, man. Let's see who's hanging out with us here in the chat. We got my guy Victor De Jesus is in the room saying, "Oh yes, what's up, Weezy in chat? It's good to see you in here, Victor. I hope all is well with you, brother." We got Pickle Kush in the room saying, "Oi, not sure if I'll catch the live stream. Thinking about Malarkey plus 3.5. The last fight showed how vulnerable Nazrat was to leg kicks. Might play fight goes to decision also at minus 190. Yeah, I don't mind either of those plays really because Malarkey's a guy that the judges have helped out a lot lately. They do tend to like to give him rounds that he didn't even win. So if he doesn't even need to win rounds in order to get one or two of them on the judges' scorecards, a plus 3.5 is not a bad look there, because I think it's going to be a close fight. Nazrat's not a guy that's out there really putting stamps on his fights. So only one of his 7 wins in the UFC comes by way of finish. All the other 6 are decisions, and some of them are very not completely one-sided, but they're clear decisions. He's a very good fighter. He's very good defensively, is Nazrat, and he doesn't have a ton of power, but he will land some knockdowns. He does land some big shots. Just he doesn't really go full in for the finish when he does land big sometimes, but he's a phenomenal minute winner. He's got great conditioning, and he's got really good defense. His distance striking defense is amongst the best in the division right now. So I do like Nazrat to win the fight, but it could easily be a 29-28. And if that's all it needs to be on all 3 judges' scorecards, if it does go to decision, you cash that plus 3.5. So nothing wrong with that look, Pickle Kush. And then I'll share my screen with you guys here. Oh, whoops. I got to actually present first. Share screen. there's that for you guys. All right. Cool. So, and then you were asking also about the milk Costa under 1.5 rounds at minus 120. Yeah, it was minus 115 earlier. One of 5 fights have went over 1.5 rounds for Steve Garcia. So for that under 1.5, while minus 115, minus 120 is about 26% overpriced when you compare it to the divisional benchmark, which is 27.43%. But actually, that's not entirely see, they switched this from featherweight to lightweight. And I should actually do this for you guys here. I got to put this in a lightweight template here. And then I will delete the other one. Yeah, so now with lightweight, actually 33% of those fights are going under 1.5 rounds in comparison to a much lower number for the featherweight division. Garcia Costa, yeah. So I'll do this. This is minus 115 a piece. All right. And I'll add those new lines in here. So I'll delete that. We'll call this Garcia Costa. Okay. And then minus 120, minus 110. Fight goes is 170. Fight doesn't go minus 210. So, yeah, I mean, I like the under 1.5. I bet it last week at plus 132 for 1.5 units. And much to my surprise, when I opened up my Bet Online account this week, they are honoring that bet. So it's my only track bet of the week thus far is the bet that I made 2 weeks ago, which was the under 1.5 rounds at plus 132 for 1.5 units. Stylistically, I love it. Garcia's fights are wars. He goes out there, kill or be killed, swinging for the fences from the first second of the fight. So 9 knockdowns in only 4.5 minutes of distance striking time in Garcia's fights, for and against. So he's landed 4 and he's absorbed 5. So this is definitely something that I really believe is going to be ending quickly. But if it doesn't, you're not paying a ton of juice on that under 1.5. And I feel like if it goes over 1.5, the chances that it goes the distance are much higher. So I'd rather get these guys at their best finish condition, which you can see right here for Garcia. 4 of his 5 fights have finished inside the distance, but all 4 of those fights finished under 1.5 rounds as well. So this guy, when his fights are finishing, they're finishing in the first 7.5 minutes. And the way that Garcia fights, I don't think Costa is going to be scared to stand and bang with him. I think he's probably the better striker, Costa. So yeah, I think that at minus 120 is still a solid bet. You can see 57.14% of their combined 7 UFC fights have ended under 1.5 rounds. And if you go back and you watch Costa versus Lingo, man, he beat 7 shades of shit out of Lingo. And Lingo just wouldn't go away. Garcia's not that durable. So, yeah, I really do like that as well, Pickle Kush. We got my guy Kiwi Brew in the room saying, sure all, what is up? It is good to see you, brother. Let me know if you had any questions for me today. We got Eric Albrecht in the room saying, oi, what's up, Eric? Good to see you in here, brother. We got Jester saying, what we sipping on, Unc? We got some water here today. I am sick. I've got bronchitis or a cold or some crazy shit. So nobody's got time for that. So yeah, I'm just sipping on the water. I haven't had any alcohol going through my system in like 10 or 11 days just because I got sick like a week ago. And other than that, have not been drinking really. So yeah, just trying to keep it nice and light tonight. That's for sure. Don't need any alcohol tonight. I am sick enough. We got RC in the room saying, "What's up, oi?" And he's saying, "Who do you think has got a better chance to win, Gutierrez or Malarkey?" Um, I would say Malarkey's live at this price, you guys. I've bet against Malarkey in the Naimov fight. I bet against Malarkey in the Makdessi fight. But those were two fights where Malarkey was a massive favorite. And Malarkey's a good all-around fighter. He can get some takedowns. He's tough. He's got that dog in him. He's got a little bit of power, and his boxing is pretty good. But he shouldn't be minus 250 over guys like Makdessi. He shouldn't be minus 500 against Muhammad Naimov. But now you're getting him at a discount here against the guy who fights in close fights in Nazrat Akbaraz. So I think Malarkey's probably got a little bit better of a chance to win. Song Yadong looks unbeatable right now. But this is a weird sport, man. So I mean, like at Song Yadong's price, at minus 370, I don't see any value there. Really at minus 370. I mean, you're talking about 79% implied probability at minus 370. Let me see what that is. Minus 370 is a 78.72% implied probability, you guys. It's too much to pay. Gutierrez is a very, very good kickboxer. There's no reason he can't win some minutes at range against Song Yadong. But Song Yadong, definitely the more dangerous guy, the more powerful guy. But, with a guy who kicks to the legs as often as Gutierrez does, it may be a little bit more difficult for Song to kind of get into the pocket and sit down on his punches like he really does so well. It's his power and the purpose with which he throws his punches and kicks, which is what makes him such a dangerous fighter. So it's interesting. I think Gutierrez at this price, there's probably some value there, but you could take your value and bring it over to the bookie. If the bet didn't cash, he's going to tell you to hit the bricks or cram it with walnuts, ugly. So value, does it turn into real value by the time the fight's over? That's always the question. But I think at both of these prices, they're probably value bets. We got Broke Degen is in the room saying, "Oh, Weezy, always, baby. Oh, how you doing, man? Good to see you in here. Yeah, I probably shouldn't be live. I sound horrible today. Still, I feel a lot better though today than I did the last couple of days. I feel like I'm turning this shit around, but definitely wanted to come and give you guys some content. So let me know if you got any questions for me, brother. We got K-Dog in the room saying, "I feel you, bro. That shit's going around. I was sick too last week." Dude, I remember even a couple of weeks ago when I was on Clint's show, Clint was sick and he wasn't I remember he was sick for like a week too. And my girlfriend, she was out of town. She came back home and then she had the cold when she came home and I didn't get it for like 5 days. And then the day that she left to go back out of town for work, I started to feel it in my chest and in my throat, and I was like, "Oh man, I did catch it," So yeah, it is what it is. But we're gonna try to turn this corner. We're hammering it with drugs and fluids and good food, so we'll see how it goes. We got JJ in the room saying, "Oh, he sounds like the Kerry Hadley flu. It's super contagious." Yeah, was that his excuse for that horrible stoppage, almost getting Bobby Green killed? Yeah, it is. It is, and everybody's sick right now. I hear so many people talking about how they're sick right now, so I know it's definitely going around. Billy Nicholson saying, "Oi, time to stack cash tickets like Flapjack. Let's go, Billy. Good to see you hanging out in here." We got Broke Degen saying, "Weezy, can't wait till we charge over the hill and down to the battlefield to take out Prize Picks and Underdog. Excited about the new Patreon stuff coming." Yeah, man. I'm working on some graphs right now because I think that there's some great ways to graphically represent some of this data um, to really kind of where you can kind of visualize that edge, between what we're predicting for a significant strike total or a takedown total or a fantasy score total or a fight time total like we do here on the prop template. Um, how to graphically represent that, and you could do it too for the same things here. Like we could have the fight goes and the 2.5 rounds, and then the fight doesn't, or the fight doesn't start round 2, and you can list all the props, and then put the rates. We know what the rates are for every division, and we could just compare the fighters' rates to the division. There's a lot of great ways to graphically represent this data, and I'm kind of like in the process of not only building the product, but also what I think the most important thing is going to be, now that we have this data, what is the proper way to analyze it? What's the proper decision making tree to go through to find the bets that stick out in value? And that's something that I'm going to be really trying to make the most of the time off that we have, 3 weeks between mid-December and mid-January, to get this product cleaned up and out there for you guys. And I'm really looking forward to it. Antonio Esparza saying, "Oi, what's up, Unc? I got my wisdom tooth pulled today. Have a lot of pain, so I'm here to keep my mind off the pain." Dude, I hear you, man. I never got my wisdom teeth pulled. They tried to get me to get them pulled a couple of times, and I was like, no, thanks. They don't hurt, so I'm not getting them pulled. But, I'm almost 50 now, so there might come a time where I do have to get those things yanked, but we'll see, man. I'm putting it off, dude. Unnecessary surgery is not something that your Uncle Weezy is down with. We got Rousus in the room saying, "Oi, Unc, how did Bet Online honor your Costa bet? You bet the under 1.5 at plus 120, and just wondering how you got the same line. They never canceled it for me, Rousus. So I still see it on my sheet here. My bets, and you can see it's still there. Steve Garcia versus Melquizael Costa, under 1.5 for plus 132. So I don't know why they didn't cancel it, because they've already canceled. Obviously, I also had a 3-unit bet on the Nascimento Sumaderji fight not going the distance, and like about an hour after I placed the bet, that fight got canceled. So I got that money back, but they never really refunded the money, Rousus. And when the fight got reannounced, that bet showed back up on my account. So I don't know why they're honoring it. I was frankly shocked that they did. But since they are, and I still have it on my account there, I'm gonna track it and run it again this week, because it's a bet that I made last week and tracked last week, and Bet Online is honoring the same price, so I'm tracking it. I have no idea why they honored that bet, but big shout out to Bet Online for doing exactly that. I thought that was really classy. We got Donkey G in the room saying, "Would you pick the overs in the Yadong fight?" So I think that they're good. I mean, like, Song Yadong's fights have, in 3-round fights, mind you, 3-round fights, have seen the scorecards 5 of 10 times, and for Gutierrez, it's 4 of 11. So 43% of their 3-round fights have seen the score or have finished inside the distance. Now, Yadong's Gutierrez, both of Song's fights have finished inside the distance, but one was because of a cut stoppage after the 4th round, and the other one was a 5th round finish against Ricky Simone. So, but Song Yadong is very, very dangerous early in fights. He throws with reckless abandon. And with a ton of power. I wouldn't say reckless abandon. I think he's actually very defensively sound. It's just that he's dangerous. And Gutierrez is a guy who I think is going to chip away, with those leg kicks, but Song's going to be ready for him. So I think these do go over, but I don't see a lot of value in an over 3.5 rounds at minus 185. The prop template certainly doesn't hate it, but that's a lot of juice to lay. 60% of these fights do go over 3.5 rounds. Those are the 5-round bantamweight fights. We're paying 64.9%, and both of Song's fights have went over 3.5 rounds. Also, when it comes to getting finished, how are these guys getting finished? Wow, is that slow? Okay. Um, so Song has only been finished in 2 of 7 pro losses and in 1 of 2 UFC losses. So these guys have 4 UFC losses and 2 of them are finishes. Gutierrez got subbed by Barcelos. I forget who knocked out. So, oh, that's right. Sandhagen knocked out Song, but that was a cut stoppage. So, yeah, I think it does go over. I think it probably goes over 3.5, but there's no way I would lay minus 185. That is butthole clenched for 17 and a half minutes for a minus 185. The way that, these guys are dangerous guys. So I wouldn't do it, man. I mean, I think it goes over, but I wouldn't bet it. Juicy Q saying, "Hey Weezy, with work shaving my ass, what's some good tunes to relax to in the Weezy household?" I love listening to house music when I'm working, so I love the Flavor Trip YouTube channel. YouTube, and then we just go to my channel, not my channel, we go to Flavor Trip's channel. And you see Flavor Trip there, and there's like a lot of really great house music mixes on there. They're all about a minute and a half or an hour and a half to about 2 hours long. Really great stuff there. A friend of the show is Genova 7. And if you go to Genova 7's YouTube page, and really you don't even have to go to just his YouTube page, there's a bunch of stuff if you just type in Genova 7 on YouTube. His album Painkillers and Parasites is badass. That one is something that I love listening to. It's mostly instrumental. It's just great down tempo type production. I love that stuff. I've got a lot of bands that I'm big fans of. Spoon is always a good thing to listen to. Rolling Blackouts, Coastal Fever, Pond from Australia is fantastic. Big King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard fan. The Nude Party is another great band that I like quite a bit. I love old school hip hop, some old Tribe Called Quest, some old Nas, some old De La Soul, Far Side. Just there's a whole bunch of stuff that I listen to. My taste in music kind of goes all over the place, but yeah, house music definitely some of my favorite stuff to listen to. Down tempo stuff. Genova 7's Painkillers and Parasites full album is badass. This Genova 7 and Mr. Mood's album is badass as well. There's a whole bunch of shit. Go down some of those rabbit holes on YouTube and you'll find some really good stuff. Also, great remixes by the Reflex. Some of the best remixes of dope old tracks. The Reflex here. This is the channel. He's got so much shit. You see, like Burning Down the House by Talking Heads, Rock the Casbah by The Clash, Freedom 90 by George Michael, The Doors, Touch Me, Creedence Clearwater Revival's Heard It Through the Grapevine, I Want to Be Your Dog by The Stooges. He's remixed all of these tracks using only stuff from the original track, remixed it. It's all really clean, really good remixes. So that's some really good stuff right now that I can start you off with, Juicy Q, music wise, to get that razor from work, shaving your ass off your ass and into a more pleasant mind space, my man. That's a great question. Thank you for that. We got local man Shank's Fist in the room saying it's because if the fight takes place within a week, it's still is that true? I didn't know that. I had no idea that was a actual rule because whenever my fights get canceled, it seems like they don't get made a week later. It's somebody misses weight, somebody got sick, something happened, and then there's either a last minute replacement, which would obviously void the bet, or it doesn't happen again in a week. So that's very interesting. What was my? Oh, this is so easy, Antonio. It was Punahele Soriano. I lost 1 unit on that guy after saying all week that I thought he was a one-trick pony, that he wasn't a well-rounded fighter, that he was way overrated, and I just let the Stoltzfus slander just kind of get to me, and I lost 1 unit on Punahele Soriano to win in rounds 1 or 2, which I knew it was his best win condition. Like, I understand why I did it. I was getting a line that was at minus 350 and getting it to plus 120 for what I knew was most of his win condition, which was a first or a second round win. But excuse me. But I knew it. I knew it was that if Stoltzfus showed up at all, he was probably going to make that a really grimy bet and probably not going to cash. And the Selecki by decision bet, I don't regret that. I mean, how often do you see guys get finished by slam knockouts? The Selecki over 1.5 rounds at minus 185, I don't regret that either. I mean, like I say, it's a freak outcome. It's a 1 in 1,000 fight outcome when somebody gets knocked out via a slam. It's like something that literally happens probably 1 out of 400 to 500 fights. And we got 2 of them on the same card. So I lost money on a parlay where I parlayed the over 1.5 for Selecki with the under 1.5 for Brundage. That one hit, but the other leg didn't. Lost a unit on Puna rounds 1 or 2. I lost a half unit on Selecki by decision, and I lost a quarter unit on Joaquim Silva to win by submission, and I lost a half unit on Rodolfo Bellato to lose by submission. So it's definitely the Puna bet. The other stabs that I took, I didn't hate the Bellato stab, not bad at all. I didn't hate the Silva stab, not bad at all. The Selecki fight, if there's not a slam knockout there, that one probably cruises over 1.5 rounds. I mean, does Selecki win the decision? I have no clue. That fight was pretty close at that point. I had close winning at that point, but obviously it ended. So, but yeah, the Puna bet was the absolute worst of the week for sure. How's Gutierrez wrestling takedown defense? I see Chris kicking Song's leg a couple of times, and Song will go for takedowns. Don't count on Song to go for takedowns, my man. Song Yadong has 9 takedown attempts in 12 UFC fights. He averages 0.53 takedowns per 15 minutes. He's got very good grappling efficiency. Song has only attempted 9 takedowns, but his opponents have attempted 51. So only 15% of the takedowns that are attempted in Song's fights are attempted by Song. However, 46% of the control time position, he's winning. So Song is very hard to take down. He's very hard to hold down. And he's got a great get-up game. And, one of the classic capper lines of all time was, Yadong's got a great get-up game. Anyway, that is something that I don't really see Song Yadong going for takedowns here. He is an efficient grappler, and he does have it in his back pocket, but I would be surprised to see Song getting 1 or more takedowns, to be honest with you. He is so comfortable at boxing range, but it could be, because even though he only attempts 0.96 takedowns per 15 minutes, Gutierrez's opponents have attempted 4.4 takedowns per 15 minutes against him, and it's probably because they don't like getting their legs kicked the way that they do. But after a few of those land, it makes it even more difficult to wrestle. So, but Chris Gutierrez's takedown defense, or I'm sorry, Song's takedown defense, right? Song's takedown defense, 72.5%. Gutierrez is 71.8%. So they both have above average takedown defense for the division. But I really think that Song Yadong's grappling efficiency is fantastic. We got Daz Files, who bet the Edgar Santos fight over 2.5 at minus 155. Would have been nice to get more, but still thought, okay. Yeah, so the template won't like that one, Daz, but that's neither here nor there, because 5 of 6 of Egger's fights have finished inside the distance, as we can see right here. But we can also see that 5 of 6 didn't even start round 3. 4 of 6 went under 1.5. But in my opinion, this Egger Santos fight, it's very, very close, you guys. This is a high level judo black belt squaring off against a high level judo black belt. Neither one of these ladies really has any striking to speak of. Both ladies are fantastic on the ground and really good from top position. And they're both very good submission grapplers. I just think that they're, obviously Stephanie Egger is more experienced than Luana Santos. She's fought the better brand of competition than Luana Santos. So those are things that we can definitely take into account. And that's very important at this level. Also, we do know that Stephanie Egger is a high-level ADCC grappler as well. So I do believe that these ladies are going to be very well matched, and I see this being kind of like a back and forth grappling match. I could see either one of these ladies potentially getting a submission. They're both very good, but I do think it goes over, and my pick is Stephanie Egger to win by decision. Donkey G saying, thanks for the input. What about the Smith Roundtree under 1.5 rounds? And for that one, at minus 145, which is where I had that earlier. Let's see if that's moved any. It's minus 135 and plus 105. So minus 135 plus 105 for the over. And you are asking about the under. So the under, only 4 of 13 of Anthony Smith's fights have went under 1.5 rounds, the ones that were scheduled for 3 rounds, not 5. And for Khalil, it's 8 of 14. So 12 of 27, or 44.44% of their fights have finished under 1.5 rounds. You're paying minus 135 on that line right now on Bet Online Sportsbook. That's a 57% implied probability. They call Smitty Lionheart, dude. He's, that guy was getting his teeth punched out by, Glover Teixeira on the ground, and he didn't give up in that one either. He's a very difficult guy to get out of there. And Anthony was working on not getting his calf kicked off. Like you saw in the last fight, him actually kind of come out and not really put weight on that front leg and be really light on it with a Muay Thai stance. And I think that we're going to see a little bit more than that, more of that this time here. And we might even see Anthony Smith, who doesn't typically wrestle, try to mix in the wrestling here a little bit. He'd be smart to do that against the kickboxer, the quality of Khalil Roundtree, especially somebody like Roundtree, who we've seen really have trouble with the ground game in the past. And, Anthony Smith, he's got a ton of submissions on his record. He's a BJJ black belt. So that is something that I really believe he could potentially pull off an upset here. And I think that, Smitty's just as likely to finish this by submission. Well, not just as likely, but he's very likely to finish this by submission, just like what's his name? Roundtree is likely to finish it by knockout. So this is a fun fight. At minus 135, though, for an under 1.5, I would not bless that bet. I think it's way overpriced. I feel like you should be getting in the plus money for that. Plus 105, plus 110, maybe even a little bit better. But at minus 135, I'd almost rather go with the over here at plus 105, which is actually almost a trifecta bet here on the prop template. But none of the analytics are sticking far enough out to keep my butthole clenched for 7.5 minutes, hoping nobody gets served in a Smith Roundtree fight. So, yeah, I mean, I think it finishes. I'd rather parlay like an under 2.5, or I don't even know, man. The bookies are onto it. Let's put it that way. It probably cashes if you bet unders here, but the bookies are onto it, and I don't think there's a lot of meat on the bone there. Oh yeah, she keeps passing me by the far side is a classic. I know that I've got that one on vinyl here. It's one of my favorite vinyls to play. Far Side record, I believe, is over there. Yeah, it's right behind my Diggable Planets record. Yeah, Diggable Planets reaching a new reputation of time and space is another hip hop classic that I've got on vinyl as well. But yeah, that's some great stuff there for sure. And ring a ding ding, you guys. My guy Rouses at $5 paying. Man, I bet the under 1.5 at plus 120 last week, but they canceled my bet, unfortunately. Did you do it on Bet Online or was it another sports book, Rouses? But yeah, because some other books might cancel it, but Bet Online, it might be in their rules that if a fight gets, postponed a week, that they'll honor the bet still. They didn't give me a choice whether I wanted to bet it again this week. It just, they never canceled it. So and then let's see. What am I liking on Prize Picks? He says. So there were a couple of spots that kind of stuck out when I looked at the significant strikes template. I was looking at Luana Santos, 47.5 significant strikes. We've got a fairly big sample size of fights of Stephanie Egger, 6 of them at the UFC level. 5 of them have finished inside the distance, but Stephanie Egger has never absorbed more than 47.5 significant strikes in her UFC career. And as a matter of fact, she's only absorbing 13.67 significant strikes per fight. 2.08 significant strikes is what she's absorbing per fight. Per minute. So Luana Santos, even if this fight is standing, I do believe that we're going to see most of this fight take place in control time positions. That's a great recipe for fights going under the significant strike posted total, because as you can see here, 3.36, if we were to look at this row of numbers right here, this is the average for the division, which is this is going to be your women's bantamweight division. And don't forget, Santos is moving up a weight class here. 3.36 is the weighted average of significant strikes landed per minute between these two ladies, but 3.73 is the average for the division. But you can see here, 8.42 distance strikes landed per minute, but that's only because there's one fight with a very high sample size, 19.16 distance strikes landed per minute, because she was fighting Juliana Miller, who blocks punches with her face. But Stephanie Egger's fights, 27.61% of them take place at distance, which means that over 72% take place in control time positions where you're only seeing 0.7 clinch and ground strikes landed per minute. So my weighted average prediction for significant strikes landed by Luana Santos in this fight is 20.71. Prize Picks is hanging a 47.5 total. So I like the under 47.5 significant strikes for Luana Santos. I also think Song Kanan versus Kevin Jousset. I under 60.5 significant strikes. My prediction algorithm is showing 51.44 significant strikes landed here. But with Jousset, I've seen Jousset be very low volume at range before in the past. But I kind of feel like I'm missing some information about how this dude is going to be performing at the UFC level against a veteran like Song. So I don't love that. Right now, I like Hyung Sung Park to land more than 21.5 significant strikes. I understand that, Shannon Ross is not durable, but I also think it's kind of flukish to get knocked out in the first 60 seconds of 2 fights in a row. And I just, Hyung Sung Park isn't knocking anybody's head off. He's not. He's a okay striker. I think that Hyung Sung Park's going to land well over 21.5 significant strikes in this fight. What else? I think also Khalil Roundtree over 30.5 significant strikes. It does kind of like that. My prediction is 36. And I don't think we're overpaying right here at that line. 30.5, I think, is a pretty good one. Let me see if there's anything else here on the prize picks for fight time. Yeah, I kind of like Hyun-Sung Park to go over 5 minutes of fight time if you don't like the significant strikes there. Just said Park. Hack pressed. Yeah, let's say Hyun-Sung Park more than 21 and a half significant strikes. Luana Santos less than 47 and a half significant strikes. The only takedown prop is Tatsuro Taira with 2. Fight time. Yeah, let's leave it at that. Park more than 21 and a half significant strikes. Luana Santos less than 47 and a half significant strikes. 20 to win 60. Let's get it. Thank you for the donation, my man. I appreciate you. We got Esparza in the room saying Iron Turtle has 3 straight wins by submission. You think the sub is live against Muniz? If Muniz gets subbed by Park, he should retire the next day. No, man, I think knockout is a lot more live for Jun Young Park because that's how Muniz loses. Muniz has been stopped in all of his professional losses, I think all 6 of them. And I believe 5 of those are by knockout. Let's look here. Yes. 23-6 in his career. He's got 1 submission loss and he's got 5 knockout losses overall. So I think it's definitely a lot more likely that he wins by knockout, Park. Excuse me. Okay. Hey, Unc, is there any way you can look up the odds Craig and Allen were against Muniz in his last fights? Muniz being plus 144 against Park is wild to me. Yeah, I think they have a feature on best fight odds like that. Excuse me. So there we go, dude. Muniz was minus 188 against Paul Craig, and he was a pick'em against I'm sorry. He was minus 240 is the closing range. Minus 240 to minus 220 against Paul Craig, and he was minus 205 to minus 250 against Brendan Allen, and he was minus 350 against Uriah Hall, minus 200 against Anders. So yeah, he's been big favorites. So yeah, this is a lot of recency bias. He's lost to 2 very tough fighters in Brendan Allen and Paul Craig, 2 phenomenal grapplers, by the way, which it seemed like, and he was trying to go to the grappling a little bit, but he was unable to get it there on his terms, and it cost him, and he did gas in both of those fights. So yeah, it's you're getting them at a much cheaper price this time around, and there's certainly some value in it. I've thought about getting on the Muniz side myself this week because I actually think he'll be in decent shape on the feet against Jun Young Park. He's a southpaw. He's got a 5-inch reach advantage here. He's going to be the taller guy, the longer guy, and he's going to be the much more dangerous submission grappler, obviously. But he's not the best minute winner at the UFC level, so I worry about him being able to push a grappling heavy pace against a guy like Park. And if you can't keep Park down, he's going to pressure you and walk you down as the fight goes on, and he's going to turn up that volume as the fight goes on. And I could see Muniz getting broken by that. We got Lombard, the greatest, in the room saying, where's just the tip? I didn't do it this week, my man. I'm sick. I'm not 100%. So what I did was I took the week off from producing a full card breakdown and just wanted to show up for you guys here and answer some questions and do that kind of stuff because it takes me usually about 2 to 3 days to do all the preparation for just the tip and all the writing for it. So yeah, it was just too much work for me to do this week. So you're stuck with Ask Weezy this week. We got my guy Daz Files in the room. Always good to see one of the OGs in here saying, smash the like, and I appreciate you, brother. Please do that. Smash that like, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And there you go. We got Elan Nascimento is vicious on the ground with ground and pounds and elbow. I think his sub over Carlos isn't going to be as easy for Tyra. Over 1.5. Yeah, man, that could definitely, I could see it going over 1.5. I think it's easy to see that a high-level grappler like Nascimento got on Hernandez's back and finished him in the first round, and you say, well, if he can do it, Tyra can do it. But, it's all about getting to that position in the first place. And, Hernandez is a very experienced guy. He's a very well-rounded guy. So, he knows what Tatsuro Taira is going to try to do. And I think that the over 1.5 rounds is not a bad look for that fight. We've seen Taira have trouble getting some guys out of there. He couldn't get Kyrez out of there. He couldn't get the first guy that he fought. I forget his name right now. Minus 200. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a parlay piece at minus 200. But yeah, I think it's a decent look this week. We got Kiwi saying "Sure" to Daz. We got Daz saying "What's up to Kiwi?" We got Antonio saying, "I saw you cash that bet on Figgy for getting one takedown, and you said you wished you put more on it. Are you seeing anything similar for this card?" Not yet, Antonio. Those lines on Bet Online don't open up until Friday. So what I will do is when those lines start to open up on Friday, I'm going to be taking a look at them because I can look at them with my templates and kind of bring another layer of analysis to it that really kind of, opens my eyes to potential opportunities, to places where they fuck up. And that one was wide open for us to take advantage of last week. I hit that one. I hit the under on Font's significant strikes, which Bet Online had at 79.5. He only landed about 40 something. And then I also loved the close under significant strikes, but that hit for an unpredictable reason, which was the knockout, the slam knockout. And we got Rouse is saying, never mind, I logged back into my Bet Online, and my bet is pending. There we go. Loving my bet even more, especially if Garcia makes it to the octagon this time. It's going to be at 155 this time. So that could kind of throw a wrench in the works. 2 weight cuts in 7 days for both of these guys I think that's good for an under, but the being up a weight class, maybe not as good for the under. We'll see. But if they're honoring your bet at plus 120, if they're honoring mine at plus 132, which is where we made our bets last week, that's the best possible thing. We got Thomas Kane in the room saying Juan Soto to the Yankees. Well, the Yankees always get what they want, right? And they can spend more money than pretty much anybody out there. So I'm not surprised. These guys are going to go to where they can make the most money. So yeah, I just want to know who's coming to the Chicago Cubs. Who's coming to my Cubbies? That's what I want to know, man. Rem Dog saying, "Oi, no questions right now, Unc. Just dropping a like and wishing you feel better. Thank you, man. I'm almost out of here for the day. And yeah, the nose is not feeling great, but I'm going to go relax. I'm going to get on the couch with my girlfriend here. We're going to find some TV to watch and just relax." I truly think Smith is washed, but Roundtree being minus 250 after beating Dawkins and getting that robbery win against Jacoby. What's your thoughts on Smith's money line? I think that Smith is going to be live because he's such a veteran, because he's fought everybody. He's fought the better brand of competition, and he's the much better grappler. We just don't get to see Khalil Roundtree grapple. He's not a grappler. And the thing about Roundtree, which worries me, if I'm betting on Roundtree, which is a reason I don't have a bet on Roundtree, is he hasn't fought anybody that could wrestle their way out of a paper bag recently. And I'm not saying Anthony Smith's a wrestler. He certainly isn't a wrestler, but he is a BJJ black belt. And if this fight gets to the ground, he's going to be very live to submit Khalil Roundtree, who doesn't have a great ground game. But Chris Dawkins is a BJJ black belt, but he never shoots takedowns. Jacoby, pure kickboxer. Roberson, kickboxer. Bukowskis, kickboxer. Pragnio, kickboxer. He's 4-1 in those last 5 fights. The last guy that he fought that could wrestle his way out of a paper bag, Ion Kutalaba, who wound up destroying him in the very first round. He did beat Eric Anders, which is a good win. But he beat 7 shades of shit out of Anders, and Anders was unable to take him down. So yeah, I mean, like, if Smitty can go out there and get takedowns, but here's the problem. Anthony Smith only 28 takedown attempts in 20 UFC fights, and he's only gotten 8. 0.55 takedowns per 15 minutes. So can we count on him to go out there and get a takedown against Khalil Roundtree? I mean, he might get one. What's he going to do with it, though? That's what we got to find out here. So very interesting, because if this stays on the feet, we know that Khalil is going to be the more dangerous guy. And Anthony Smith has been getting his leg chewed up. So that's a bad recipe against a guy that kicks like Roundtree does. And do you track what sports book and you're more profitable on than others? Some books aren't as sharp as others. The book I've always been most profitable on is Bet Online, because I get my openers there, and I get really good prices there. Less vig at Bet Online, sharper lines. So a lot of times I'll take those longer shot props, which don't hit nearly as much. I'll be taking them on FanDuel, on DraftKings, on Bet Rivers, but I'll be sticking to the more meat and potatoes bets on Bet Online. So I'm definitely more profitable on Bet Online. I lose all my bets on DraftKings for some reason. Like any money line bets, any parlays, anything I do on DraftKings just seems to lose automatically. But I always do really well on Bet Online. No, but I don't track which ones I'm profitable on. Yankees pay everyone and still lose every year. That's fine with me, man. Appreciate your time and answering all our questions, Unc. You made me feel better, bro. I hope you feel better too. Stay safe and have a good night. And you guys all do the same exact thing for me. I appreciate you guys coming here and hanging out. I wanted to just give you guys a little bit of content for this week, and then keep an eye out on Friday. I'll definitely do a greasy 4-leg parlay for you guys, and I'm going to get started a little bit early for UFC 296 next week with, or is it 297? Doesn't matter. Colby Covington versus Leon Scott for the light or welterweight championship. Can't wait for that. You guys, thank you for hanging out. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Vegas 83. Hit that like and subscribe on your way out. Please consider joining the Patreon to support the work, and we will see you guys on Friday for the greasy 4-leg parlay. Have a great night, everyone. Take care.